Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahushai, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Chakodash, the blindness of the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the whole field elect out there, you CAMP&Sitdowns, that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. I'm the Priest Shimon. Okay. I'm the Priest Shimon. This week's topic is going to be entitled, you have to be spiritually and physically fit. Spiritually and physically fit. You know, topics like this, done many a times, talking about, first of all, let me read this scripture. This is the book of Acts 7:40, Acts 7:48. Howbeit, the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophets. Actually, let me get the one that says, ye are the temple. That's in the book of Corinthians. Well, there's another one that says the temple of the Most High dwelleth within you. Pretty much we are the temple. This body that you have is a temple that must be treated well, physically and spiritually, right? So what does that entail? Okay, well, you see what brothers have been doing, pretty much taking care of ourselves, our bodies. You see the Apostle Elder Gabar doing a combination of both. He does a GMS walk and talk, and guess what? He's walking and talking with a weighted vest, taking care of his physical, but also doing the spiritual work. And you want to do both because they both work together. You know, it's very hard to be in the spirit when your body is physically fucked up, and vice versa. So, you know, you want to do both. And what I want to highlight is that the Apostle Paul, he'll give analogies. He did a lot of metaphors and similes, all right? And you'll see that he was combining and comparing something physical to something spiritual, and how, you know, we're doing both. I'll read this. This is the book of Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world. So he's saying, look, just like how wrestlers wrestle, which is a physical activity, you know, you could tell the Apostle Paul, based on some of the metaphors and some of the things that he used as a simile for the spirit and lessons, he was into activities, physical activities. He'd be watching the UFC, for example, and wrestling and all these different sports today, and then comparing it to being in this work. Okay, now wrestling, okay, guess what, that is physically demanding. But he's saying, look, this ain't wrestling like how you wrestle with men, which does require physical endurance and strength, but this is a spiritual and endurance strength exercise, because these spirits, okay, these spirits, they attack your mind. You know, that's the scripture says, give me any plague but the plague of the mind. These demons will attack your mind, have you think evil thoughts, discourage you, have you think bad thoughts about a brother, about, you know, give you a whole bunch of assumptions and pretty much tell you not to do the work. And your job now is to wrestle against that, fight against that, resist that. By what? Doing the lessons, being brother, pretty much doing the opposite of what them spirits are trying to tell you not to do. You know, following the scriptures, you see? But you have to remain consistent. You have to, this thing is, it's like a marathon, okay? I want to say diathlon. I can't remember the name, where they do a bunch of things, but it's spiritually and physically demanding. It says, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, right? And this is what I'm saying too, how the spiritual and physical kind of come together when we out there on Saturdays, right? If you're out of the spirit, guess what? You're gonna feel like, man, I'm standing so long and this hurt, because you're not in the spirit. But if you are in the spirit, you just, you know, you're just rolling with the punches and shit, you know, stretch your legs, and you out there, whether it's cold, whether it's whatever, hot, you know. So that's how the spirit, or what's plaguing, you know, the mind, can start to fuck with the body. You see, if them demons is telling you all types of negative shit while you out there, and you start to feed into that, guess what? The 3 hours that brothers are out there, or the 4 hours, might now feel like 10. You know, that's how shit works. When you catching hell, time slows down. Time is relative, man. You know, you're in a sauna, For 10 minutes, it feel like you're in there forever. But if you're playing video games for 10 minutes, it feel like that shit was 10 seconds. So time be relative, man. So when they start to fuck with your mind, them spirits, them demons, and you're not physically fit, spiritually fit rather, guess what? You're gonna get weighed down, man. Okay? Gotta call on the name of Yahweh Shimei Shai to lift you out these situations, alright? Because at the end of the day, if you really want to get technical, Yahweh Shimei Shai is the one who sent those spirits to try you, okay? To see if you're gonna call upon his name, to see what type of individual you're gonna be. 1 Corinthians 9:25. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things, right? If you're trying to master something, you want to be balanced and you want to be very disciplined in the thing that you're trying to master, okay? They had this Star Wars shit, and they fucked everything up with this woke bullshit, but they had a Jedi that was fat as fuck. And everybody was just like, how can a Jedi be fat? You talking about mastering sentences and mastering all this shit, you can't master your diet? You know what I'm saying? So when you mastering something, okay, guess what? It's a discipline. For others, it might seem like, you know, a struggle or this or that, but for you, you've mastered your discipline. This is why I say, fuck motivation. You know, I'm not about motivation. Okay, motivation is cool. It's cool. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Motivation is cool, but you much rather be disciplined. Okay. Because motivation's a fluctuating feeling. That shit could go up and down. But if you're disciplined, if you say, look, I'm going to do my shows X amount of times, I'm going to do my lessons, I'm going to stay in tune with if you set yourself to a certain standard and hold yourself accountable, guess what? That habitual habit will now just be a part of your nature. Okay? That way you can't help but go out there and teach and put up your videos and edify. You feel fucked up if you don't. It says, and every man that is striving for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, right? So a UFC belt, a Super Bowl ring and trophy, an NBA ring and trophy, all right? Those things are corruptible. Sometimes these guys go broke and sell all that shit anyways. It says, but we an incorruptible, right? And that's what we're striving for, the kingdom of heaven, okay? The kingdom of heaven, you know? I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, right? You gotta run certain, man. Confidence means with faith. You have to have faith that, look, man, I'm one of the Lord's hopeful elect, man, and I'm gonna do what I have to do as a prophet of the Lord. Okay. Now he's also mentioning running. What's that going back to again? What we're talking about in the lesson? Being physically fit, man. Okay. Being physically fit. It says uncertainly. So okay, let me read it again. So I therefore so run not as uncertainly, so fight I not as one that beateth the air. He's talking about boxing, like he's not shadow boxing, right? Again, another physical fit sort of thing he's mentioning, but comparing it to the spiritual. But I kept under my body and bring it into subjection, right? This is going into just talking about being humble. You know what I mean? You gotta stay humble. That's like when we say hopeful elect. Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. And that's a fucked up thing, man. It's a terrible thing to fall in the hands of the living power. It's a fucked up thing to happen to you, but guess what? You know, it's prophesied that these things will happen. You know, you pray you don't become a castaway of the Most High, but we've seen the Most High done that many a time. Use an individual to bring brothers in, all right, and then get rid of that guy. So you don't want to fall into that lot. You want to make sure you're spiritually and physically fit, all right? If you start being spiritually lazy, you know, then them demons are going to bully you around like nothing. And then if you're physically lazy, going out there on them highways and the byways is going to feel like torture. Hey man, take care of your temple in both ways. The last thing you want to fucking do is be idle. They say in the world, idle hands does the devil's work. You do not want to be idle. If you look at like most dangerous neighborhoods, guess what? It's a bunch of men not doing anything. They're not working. They're not, you know, they're just idle. They left to their mind, and that's when shit goes south. That's what Chris Rock said. He was like, if you go in a neighborhood and the woman ain't doing shit, it's a wealthy neighborhood. Everybody's taking care of. But you go to a neighborhood where men ain't doing shit, and you in a dangerous neighborhood. Anyways, Ecclesiastes 10:18. It says, by much slothfulness, the building decayeth, And through through the idleness of hands, the house droppeth through. Right. So we're the building, we're the temple. Okay. With idle hands, your body's gonna fall apart both spiritually and physically. Okay. You know, if you're not doing shit spiritually, you're not doing lessons, you're not doing videos, you're done for. You know, I know this thing fluctuates around faith, but you know, the scriptures themselves tell you faith without works is dead. So if you have the faith, you're gonna be spiritually fit. But if you have idle hands, just like, you know, if you have idle hands in terms of taking care of your body, taking care of yourself, guess what, man? The body's gonna start to corrode, all right? Your body's gonna start to fuck up. All types of illnesses, all types of sicknesses, you know, carrying excess fat, all this type of shit. You don't wanna do that, man. You wanna be on point, okay? And I like how the apostles and elders are, because they're really, really good examples, man. If you notice, the apostles have a full head of hair, man. You know? And physically, you know, like, just look at them. They look like they take very good care of themselves, and the herbs and all that. And then spiritually, you already know the Most High got a heavy spirit on them to be on point. So I think it's really good examples to follow, you know? And, you know, I pray that, you know, brothers are edified. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashim Rachakadash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim, that do this thing in most truth and sincerity. Shalom.